Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is episode 21. Every month, I've been doing these live episodes and these live interviews, and I absolutely love doing them and love all the guests that have come on. And this is the 21st episode that we've done. I'm super thrilled. And if you are here tuning in right now, let me know. Let us know. Put a little comment wherever you're watching in the chat box there, and we can see you. If any point you have any questions, do put your question in the chat box, and we will we'd love to join you and welcome you to have this conversation with us today. All right. Have you ever been inspired or even moved to tears by a piece of music? I know I have. Or have you ever felt your energy totally shift for the better after listening to a particular song? For me, there's a particular song that I listen to, and every single time right before I go on doing a show or doing some kind of event, I always play this song. It's Ain't No Mountain Higher. Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I love it. Every time I hear it, any mood I'm in, it shifts me for the better. If this has happened to you too, then you have already witnessed the incredible power that music can have on people, and you will certainly love the topic for this episode. So if you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Crystal Diaz. I'm a singer, coach, and co-founder of the Online Vocal Academy. So we help people who enjoy contemporary music, pop music mainly, but who don't really feel confident about singing solo. We provide workshops and programs that really focus on something that we call vocal alignment. So that when you have vocal alignment, you are able to discover and cultivate the natural resonance and power of your voice. So if you love to sing, and if singing brings you joy, then you should do more singing because the better you get at singing, the more enjoyable singing becomes. So as you may know, each month I go live with a special guest who is living their passion and is an expert in their field. We talk about topics related to self-expression and creativity, as well as the positive influences that music has had on their lives. My goal for these interviews is really to inspire you to do more of what brings you joy, and for you to live your most passion and purpose-driven life. My guest this month is Jocelyn. Jocelyn is a singer, songwriter, actor, and certified sound healing practitioner, specializing in tuning forks therapy. We're going to get into all of this in today's episode. Jocelyn has released 3 albums and EPs. She's sung in over 10 commercial, TV and movie projects, and she is the founder of Atlantis Sound Healing. A very, very warm welcome to my 21st guest here on this live show, Jocelyn. Hello,
Hi,
Jocelyn.
everyone. Hi, Crystal.
Hi. How are you doing? Oh, thank you for being here. And you are tuning in. You're joining us from
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
I guess you were there.
Hong Kong.
Yes, normally you're in Hong Kong. I know that. And you were there in Vancouver just visiting family. Is that right?
Yes, but unfortunately, well, not that unfortunately, but I'm stuck here for now because of flights, but just enjoying the nature.
Yes, I love that. I know we were chatting earlier before we went live, and I was like, oh, yeah, I thought you'd be in Hong Kong. She's like, well, I would be if the flights weren't canceled. Like, oh, yeah. And I wanted to say hello here to some people who are joining in live. Hello, Nishta. I hope you are here. You're waiting already before we started. Hello. And hi, Kyle.
Hi,
Angela.
everyone.
Hi, Auntie Audrey. I love that you're here. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome back. And hello, Juliana. I see you here too. I love it. All right, to start us off, Jocelyn, I've had many multi-passionate guests here on this show, and you are definitely one of them. I'd love to start by learning a little bit more about the influences that music has had on your life. So can you share a little bit about your background with us and, where you grew up and what your musical influences were as a child?
Yeah, so I was born in Hong Kong, but when I was about 3, my whole family moved to Vancouver. And so I spent the next, I think, 7 or 8 years there. And then I moved back to Hong Kong for high school. And then for college, I went to the States. And then after college and everything, when I joined the music industry, I actually debuted in Taipei. And then I was kind of flying around like Taipei, Beijing, and Hong Kong. So I've been quite lucky to kind of grow up in a lot of different cities and cultures. At the same time, though, I feel like because of that, my personality and interests are very eclectic, and I often didn't really feel like I belonged in one place. And so, it's a little bit maybe cliche, but it's true. Like music really was like the universal language that, stayed the same no matter where I moved. And so, and now I just kind of try to use my music to blend different things and cultures or sounds I hear from different places and in my upbringing. And then my influences as a child, I love band music. Like, actually grew up listening a lot to Japanese rock because I love animation and all the, theme songs are kind of punk rock and stuff, and it's really fun. So just a lot of bands growing up from everywhere. A lot of like older bands too, like Beatles.
Oh yeah.
I love Bowie. He's just a really great inspiration for what an artist looks like, not just,
Ah,
good
yes.
music, right? So yeah, very eclectic tastes.
I
And
love that.
yeah, and again, because of animation, I also love like, soundtracks like from Studio Ghibli films. And so listening wise, I guess I've always been into songwriters. Bands tend to write their own music, or kind of like songs that give you a cinematic experience or give you a dreamscape, a little bit of an escape as well.
I love it. I do love how music can take us to these different worlds and how you talked about the universal language of music. Was there a defining moment when you knew without doubt that music is what I want to do? Or did you
Mhm.
come into that later in life?
I think I was in denial for a while because,
Really?
yeah, well, I think we're similar in the sense that our families are also in doing music, and so it was quite a natural thing in my life. And so sometimes when something is very natural, you kind of doubt like, is this really what I want to do, or is it just kind of there? But over the years, like I remember there was a few instances. One, I was at like I was at a music festival in Tokyo, and I was watching one of my favorite bands, but then I felt really annoyed. Like instead of watching them, I was like, I want to be up there. I don't want to be watching this.
How old were you? How old were you?
That was like 14, I think. Yeah, so that was one incident. But another one was actually what informed me to really want to be a singer-songwriter specifically. Because I think now, if I can't write, I wouldn't want to even be a singer, a public figure. It's very important to me
Oh,
to write. Yeah. Um,
why is that? Would you say? I just want to like unpack that a little bit. Why is it? Do you feel like they're one and the same? You almost can't sing other people's songs? Like tell us a little bit about that.
Well, no, I would love to sing other people's songs too, but if I couldn't write my own as well, it would just take away a lot of the joy. And I think that's tied into this experience as well. And it was during high school. I went to island school. I don't know if there's any alumni here. I went with my
I was ESF. Just
okay,
throwing that out there.
same circle, same circle.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I went with them to a mountain village in Guangzhou called Baiwan, and we taught English there for a week to all the children that lived there. And during that time, the children were kind of, the younger kids were very into it. They were like having a great time. But when we got to teaching secondary school, I guess they just saw us as very like foreign, and they were very cold. They didn't want to participate in any of our lesson plans. And then it was like 20 minutes before the lesson ended and we had done nothing because they were just very non-interactive. And we're like, okay, let's just teach them a song. We only have 15 minutes left. So we taught them Wonderwall by Oasis. And these children don't speak any English. And like that song has tough lyrics, right? I think Noel Gallagher was like, I don't even know what the song is about, the writer himself. And when we started teaching them, like their attitudes changed from very cold to really warm, really interactive, from not wanting to respond to any questions to singing out loud, belting their lungs out. And that to me was just like, wow, this is the power of music. And in 15 minutes, they learned half the song, which is pretty difficult. So from that moment on, I was like, oh, I really want to write something and leave something that has a chance to do that for some other people one day. Yeah.
Yeah, that is such a great story. And that again, it just shows the power, like you said, the power of music, how it brings people together, but also, that memory probably stayed with them, like it stayed with you.
I hope
right?
so.
Across time, right? Because that was when you were a teenager. And I think we can all relate to this when we listen to music or when we hear music. I was literally this morning listening to Sheryl Crow. So
Okay.
when I was a teenager, I used to love listening to rock music and bands and, country. Even Sheryl Crow, I used to listen to her album all the time. And I was like, oh, I remember when I first heard that song and what that was
Hmm.
like. And I do love how music brings back those memories. So I love that story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I'd love to know a little bit more about how you got into the industry and some of the challenges that you faced there. I mean, there are definitely ups and downs with any industry, but I
Hmm.
think something like singing and songwriting in particular, where you really are putting yourself into your music, right? And you're sharing stories that are very personal to you, and you singing itself is a very vulnerable experience, right? You're out there and you're singing, but I think songwriting brings in a whole other element of vulnerability as well. Did you face any challenges getting into the industry and with that eclectic background? Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah. I think early on, like, I just didn't even know where I would want to do this because if I'm honest, and I don't get a chance to talk about this, so this is really lovely, but like, like I guess I studied at ESF and then I went to the States for college and then back then it didn't really feel like there was a chance to pursue music in the States. It just seemed very hard, very like I didn't even know where to start. As an Asian girl, it's like to be honest. And then I think I kind of cut myself off from that possibility quite early. And then I kind of had to come back and then get to know my hometown and the whole culture again and try to fit in again. And so that was my own internal struggles of like how could I best use my voice. But in terms of like what to put out there, I've never really struggled with that. And that's because singing and songwriting for me from the beginning, like with the story I just shared. And also, I guess the first song I ever fully wrote, like my first pop song, was for someone I liked back then in high school. So it's always been like an outward thing. So I was never very concerned about sharing, vulnerabilities. I'm quite open in that way. But the challenge is, well, I'm quite lucky because my family's in the industry, and so from a young age, I knew kind of how it looked like, how it works. But when it came to saying I actually want to be a singer, they all were against it. And they just, yeah, they don't want me to do it. And we argued for 2 or 3 years, I think. Every time, because I was still in the States back then, every time I called them, we'd hang up the phone, shouting at each other. It was a bad time.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
And
And how did that get resolved? I mean, how did
mhm.
I guess after you had to prove, did you feel like you had to prove like, no, this is really what I want to do. This is not some passing fancy kind of thing. Is that what it was?
Yeah, yeah. I think they were worried that it was a passing thing, that, I wouldn't be strong enough for such a tough industry. And then they would judge me from a very professional standpoint and just be like, "Oh, you're not good enough." They would say that, and it's very harsh. They were trying to be the harshest person I would ever meet before I would even get the chance to meet them,
Ah, I
out
see. I
there in the
see.
real world.
Do
Yeah.
do you feel that in some way that actually solidified your desire and determination to be in music and to know for sure? Because I think that's difficult, right? When you're faced with
Mhm.
that kind of resistance, and of course, from your family's perspective, they're protecting you, right? But I
Yeah.
think do you feel like that experience actually made you want to do it even more and like be even more sure that this was your path?
Yeah, I think so, definitely, and I'm quite stubborn, so it definitely pushed me, and so I was like, "Okay, well, if you think I'm not good enough, then I'll go and get better." And so I kind of pushed all my undergrad credits, into 1 semester, and I graduated almost a year early from college, and then that gave me some time to kind of spend the last half year or year I was meant to still be in school to, like, do a lot of writing and get into some like improvement training programs. And they were like, okay, well, if you don't have any, results in by the end of the year, you're gonna have to just get a job. And so at the end of that time deadline I had, I just sort of started sending out my demos to these aunties and uncles that I knew that were in the industry, which is very lucky that I had that resource. And then one of them was working on a coming of age art film, Chinese film, and then they picked one of my demos to be in the soundtrack. And so that kind of was my way into the industry, and it was an outward kind of affirmation, and so they couldn't really say no anymore. And so yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I got into the industry. And then from there on, I got signed to a label and produced my first album.
I love that. That's such a great story. And I think, that shows just the importance of knowing, you know, yourself, being aware of what you want in life and making it happen. I love that I'm like, well, I'm going to do all my credits in 1 year, even though I don't have to, so
Yeah.
that I can make this happen. I love that. So you talked a little bit earlier, you shared about not feeling like you found a place. Do you feel like you found who you are now? And I know, and definitely want to get into this new venture. Is it fairly new into tuning
Yeah.
forks therapy and things like that? So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit. Do you feel like you found your place right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think that it's always scary before you actually just do it and just get into it, you know? And so no, once I started, it really wasn't as scary or alienating as I thought. And I still grew up in Hong Kong, so it wasn't as tough as I was making myself freak out. And then it's about finding your place musically in the industry,
Mm.
not just personally. And that was harder. Like, what's your sound? What do you bring that others don't have? Why do people need to listen to you? There's a lot of stress along the years of when to be more commercial and when to stay true to maybe just your own whatever project you want to work on. That's a constant struggle. Yeah. But I just think that personally, if I'm not the most talented, like commercial big hits pop song writer, and if people want to listen to that, there's so many great options. And so the best I can do is just do what's special from me, which is maybe now it's sound healing songs. In the past, it was, more of a band sound kind of coming of age thing. So I just try to stay true to like what I know I can bring best for everyone.
I think that's so important in terms of what you mentioned about the balance and knowing, that's one of the struggle, right? Is balancing what you want to put out, like what you want to create versus, constraints of what the industry may or may not want. But so I want to dive into that a little bit. You are the first um, artist to combine sound healing frequencies with cantopop music, and specifically with your single, The Sound of Silence. Would you describe as an ode to inner peace infused with frequencies for
Mhm.
healing insomnia? That is amazing. And
Thank
so when you
you.
say you combine sound healing frequencies and cantopop, what does that mean? Can you describe that experience? Are you composing a melody around specific frequencies?
hmm yeah, so I'll give a quick introduction, and I have some of my tools here today, and I can just
I
give
love
everyone.
it.
So for everyone watching now, apart from a singing and songwriting and acting, I've also got certified as a sound healing practitioner as of 2020 during COVID. And now I do sound healing for people on the side of singing, but I also try to bring sound healing into pop music so that more people can know about it. And I got into sound healing at the beginning because I had really bad insomnia and anxiety. And so it really helped me. And I was just like, wow, I really wish more people knew that this was an option, to help very common mental health issues. And so I had the idea to put it into pop music, which is my biggest platform and the easiest way for people to know about it. And so I use tuning forks, as you can see
Oh,
here. Yeah, it's just, so they all are different frequencies, different notes, musical notes, and different combinations when you listen to them have different health benefits. For
oh,
example, like this one plus this one, C to G, for example, is a perfect fifth. It's a nice kind of harmony, so it makes
harmonious.
you feel
Right.
peaceful. Um,
Oh, I see. So
yeah.
they're each device or each fork has a specific note, and
Mhm.
those frequencies. Tell us a little bit about those frequencies. How are those frequencies healing? Like, how does that work? Is it because I mean, we're singers, right? We know, like when we
Yeah.
hear music, when we hear people singing, there's a special feeling, and when you're singing yourself, there's a special feeling. So I do believe in the power of energy and frequency. But I'd love for you to share a little bit more about specifically tuning forks and how that gets into our bodies.
Sure. So it's a very long thing, but in a nutshell, how tuning fork and any sound healing works, including you guys might have seen this more like a singing bowl, works is through something called resonance, which is in singing too.
Yes.
Basically, when something vibrates. So if I hit it and it vibrates, then it's coming out with a frequency, and then this frequency, because of resonance, can affect something else that has a frequency. And our bodies have frequencies because we have life, we have energy coursing through us, and our cells are vibrating. And so we have frequencies, and they can be affected by the frequencies of sound healing tools or music or voice. What's special about tuning forks is that it's actually in a completely different key than pop music. So it's like, for example, in pop music, the note A in the C key is at 440 hertz.
Yeah.
And this one, the note A is at 432 hertz, for example, or lower. So there's different
okay,
keys.
Right. So
Yeah.
how do you, okay, so tell us, how do you incorporate that into songwriting? Then do you create the melodies around those notes that are present here?
So at first we toyed with the idea of turning my whole song into a 432 hertz song to match all these tools, but that wasn't very practical because that would mean every time I did it live, I would have to tune all the instruments again.
Oh my God, that's true.
Yeah. So we stayed in the pop key of 440. But we still recorded these exact tuning forks, and I chose tuning forks that helped insomnia for the song. And then we recorded it, and then my producer had to go through a lot of tough times and basically manipulate these frequencies and I think he tuned them up even higher so that you can't hear it's out of key, but it's actually not. It's actually out of tune. But
you mean the tuning forks or the song itself?
The tuning forks is out of tune with the song because they're in different keys, right? 430 and 432. But he made them so high that you can't tell that it's actually.
So they're almost subliminal. I mean, can you hear it? I mean, I was listening, but it's so seamless into your song.
Yeah,
it's not like it's there. I can hear it. Right? It's like it's so seamlessly woven in.
We definitely we feature it like in the first second. The sort of ding you hear in the first second is the tuning forks. But yeah, because of how high and vibrating it is, you just can't tell it's in a slightly, and it's very slight, right? 440 and 432, it's a very slight difference. So you can't really tell. So that's how we're able to incorporate into the song. And so, yeah, I recorded the whole protocol for insomnia into this song. And hopefully when people listen to it, they can feel peaceful. And when you feel peaceful, you can hear your own voice, and then you don't feel anxious, and then you can sleep. So that was the idea behind insomnia.
So amazing. Can you play a little bit of the tuning forks for us and let us know what you mentioned? Was it the G and the A together?
C and G.
Oh, the C and G together. Can you? Yeah, and that's the one for insomnia.
That's very good for just feeling peaceful because it's a very harmonious. It's tonal, but it's actually. G is also this specific fork, this frequency is the one related to our throats. So this is great for singers too. So okay. I'll show you guys.
It's beautiful.
Hopefully you can hear the reverb as well.
A little bit. Yeah. I can hear it, but it's not now. I can't hear it now. But is this something that you have to really experience in person, or have you ever done online tuning, or you have to really feel the vibrations, would you say?
Yeah, I definitely think in person is more beneficial because, you can hear it and feel the vibrations directly. And tuning forks, singing bowls, any sound healing instruments, you don't have to just listen to it. They can be put directly onto your body as well to literally vibrate you in that way, physically, not through listening. So it's definitely better in person.
I love it. Can you share, you mentioned before that you actually discovered this to heal yourself because you had insomnia. Mm-hmm. Was this something that you had thought about before or that somebody had introduced to you? How did you even discover it, and what was your impressions of it the first time?
I guess I've always been a mystic child. Like I just love all this stuff.
I love that mystic child. I love it.
Yeah, I just love astrology. I love all that stuff. So I just knew about it through random research, and then I came across it. I don't really remember how I personally started listening to it. I think it was just through like meditative tracks online, and then I was stuck in Vancouver again in 2020, 2 years ago, and I walked into a cool looking mystic bookstore and I went to the sales discount section, as Asians often do. And
Straight there first.
yeah, of course, and then I saw a book and it was called Sacred Sounds. And normally I only like to read fiction usually. I don't know why, I was just very drawn to this book. And then I got it on sale and it was about tuning forks. And I felt like I was pushed towards, this particular instrument in
Yeah, I
terms
was
of
going to
doing
say,
something.
I think sometimes that happens, there's a reason why you went into that particular bookstore in
Yeah.
that particular time. And there's a reason why you went to the back, other than the fact that it was a discount, but but you were drawn there for a reason, and you picked up that book. Out of all the books, you picked that one up. And I
Mhm.
always do you believe that the universe shows us signs when we need it, but we also have to be open to looking for it, right? And I
Mhm.
think that's the thing, is that when we see these signs and that pushes us in that direction, it's because we need that in that particular time in our lives. Like you said, you were
Mhm.
experiencing insomnia. So how quickly were you able to cure your insomnia using this process?
So I think that in terms of feeling an immediate effect, whether you do a session or you listen to tracks, you can feel it immediately. You calm down, your mind goes, more peaceful, and that's because when you listen to this, one, it's changing your frequency. It's resonating with you to vibrate back at the same level as the instrument and the healthy frequencies, and two, your brain waves are affected by these frequencies too. They're brought down to what we call an alpha theta state, which
Mhm.
is when you're about to fall asleep, or you just wake up for like 1 second, and so you're physically, scientifically relaxed. So I think like after one session, or if you spend an hour at home trying to listen to these, you'll feel something. And for me, I think it was a slower process because I had insomnia for like 3 months or something. But I think like it's a slow thing and it comes and goes, and I think that's important to remember about mental health or healing. It's not like, and it's done, and you have to be patient with yourself, and you have to understand it come yeah, like you might come this time, you do it and then you feel better, but then in 2 months something else happens and you have insomnia again, and then now you know how to treat it better, so yeah, I don't know if I can say like how long it took to totally heal, but it's an
It's
ongoing
a
thing.
journey.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't have insomnia right now, for example.
That's
Yeah.
so important, right? Because sometimes you don't even know what to do to even make it a little bit better, right? But this is a journey, and there's a tool, there's a way, there's a process that can make you feel better. Other than
Yeah.
insomnia, what other ailments can this heal? Is there anything? Could it benefit everybody, or there are certain kinds of people that it would be most suited for?
It can benefit everybody, I think. It can help relieve really anything: insomnia, stress, um, even like lack of direction, lack of confidence, just
Okay.
any state. It can change your state,
I see. I get it. I totally
Yeah,
understand now. Like
yeah.
when how you just said that it changes your state. I think it relates back to the beginning of this interview. The idea of music can change our state.
Mhm.
And one final question about this is that do you since we're talking about frequencies, then is it therefore possible that our voices, we can create certain frequencies that are healing through the
Yes.
human voice, right? Please tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm sure you're the expert with
Oh,
the
no, no,
voice,
not in terms of
so
healing. I don't know.
one type of sound healing, apart from tuning forks and singing bowls, is using your own voice to do it. And we actually do it, I think, instinctively. When we hum a song, when we shower, or we're cooking, that's kind of us doing sound healing for ourselves, because we're creating our own frequencies and resonating with ourselves. And so, especially when we hum, and you can probably elaborate on this, when you hum, you're kind of using more of this area to resonate. And that is apparently one of your most natural and true voices that you can
I love
produce.
this.
And so
I
when
could
you
talk forever
hum,
about this. Carry on.
right. And so when you hum, you're kind of going back to your most natural voice, and then that's comforting for you. So that's one simple way to do sound healing by
I
yourself.
love that. What's so interesting about that is that when you do get that resonance, the microphone actually picks it up even more. It like boosts the
Mm,
sound out. And also we do that instinctively with parents and for our babies. We hum. There
right.
is healing experience there. So I absolutely love that. And you talked about, that is the true voice that you have. And one of the things that we teach a lot in our programs is vocal alignment. And it's not that you haven't found your voice, it's that you're getting in the way. Is that we tend to get in the way.
Right.
That's how we don't find it, right? It's because we stack up all these different habits on top of what we're doing. And really what we need to do is just let go and learn to let that sound come out so that the frequency can come out on its own. I love this so much. This has been amazing.
And I mean, even myself, like one of the troubles I have with singing is I actually don't know, but I hold my breath. And I think I'm not. I think I'm like saving up, and again, like you're getting in your own way, right? You hold your breath and you end up losing your breath, So it's very funny how it kind of mirrors.
Absolutely. All right. So you have been amazing. This has been an incredible topic. I could talk, we can continue talking for hours on this stuff. And we do have a second session coming up with our Singers Connect members. But before we go, what's the impact that you hope to achieve through your work? And also, what is exciting project is coming up that we can look forward to?
Okay, I'd love to share that. So musically, I'm going to follow up my last sound healing song, Sound of Silence, with new sound healing infused pop songs this coming year. Been working on them. So yeah, that's kind of my next project. It's going to kind of culminate in an EP, hopefully at the end of the year or early next year. Each song will focus on a different aspect of sound healing, showcasing different instruments and like different topics. So last time was about inner peace and silence. So my next song will be about what's after that, in terms of our healing journey. So hopefully the whole EP will be like going through a mini sound healing session at the end.
That's amazing. And then when is that coming out? You said early next year or
hopefully end of this year or next
end of this
year.
year.
Yeah, but like I'll be releasing singles intermittently. And in terms of sound healing, when I get back to Hong Kong, I'll be continuing my one-to-one tuning forks therapy sessions and hopefully connecting with everyone. And I think it's just my goal. I also host workshops sometimes because it's my goal to just let more people understand sound healing and know that it's available to them if they need help with mental health or any issues really. And it's not clinical, it's a natural therapy. Everything that you hear is based on nature. And there's a lot of history behind that I can't get into right now, but it's safe, so no worries. And I just kind of want people to know the science behind it and not be afraid or have misconceptions about it so that more people can benefit from it.
I love it. And are these the best ways? I just put that on the screen here. Are these the best ways to get in touch with you? There should be a space after the X. I apologize. So through Instagram, Indigo Day, and also Atlantis.soundhealing. That's also on your IG. Is that right? Yes. I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I want to just have a look here at the comments here. It says, "Hey, hello from Vancouver, Cars. Hey, Cars. We'll see you in the in the Zoom session later. Jenny Mack is here. My children went to Island School. And Jennifer says, so cool to see a singer who also does sound healing. Yes, absolutely. It's been super, super cool. All right. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure, Jocelyn. To all my singers. Oh, yes.
Sorry, no, I was saying I would love to say bye to everyone and I'll play the singing bowl.
Please. Yes, please.
Okay.
Please.
So everyone can just enjoy this and take a deep breath and enjoy the sound. Hope everyone has a peaceful Chinese New Year.
Thank you so much.
Thank
To
you.
all my Singers Connect members, we will see you right after this session for our bonus Zoom call with Jocelyn. So join us over on Zoom now. And again, if you love this session, be sure to connect with Jocelyn through the links that you find in the description box. And if you are someone who enjoys contemporary music, but you don't feel like you really found your voice, then be sure to visit onlinevocalacademy.com, check out our free resources and learn how we can help you. Thank you again all for tuning in.
Thank you, everyone.
And we will see you again very soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.